This happened to me a good few years ago now, probably around 2015 or so. I still can't really explain what I saw or experienced, and I don't know if I will ever be able to. Any amount of research that I've done into the area, I can't find anything that matches the description of what I saw or the behavior. Let me green text this so it's easier to follow and not a wall of text. Be me. It was around 2015 or so when this took place. I was freshly 18 years old and was looking to exploit my newfound freedom. My grandfather had just passed away a couple of months before my birthday, and he left me quite a large amount of money. He also left me some property too. He hated his son, my dad, and thought he was a bit of a pussy. Always tried to convince him to be an outdoorsman and do hard labor and such. My dad was not interested and was more concerned with computers and doing tech work. My grandfather basically ended up resenting him, and they didn't actually speak for many years. That was until I was born. My grandfather apparently suddenly came back into his life and was saying how he wanted to try harder and blah blah. I think my grandfather saw me as an alternative to my father, someone who he could mold into the type of man he wanted my father to be. Let me just say, I bear no bad blood towards my grandfather. I think his love was genuine and that he was truly proud of me, even if his initial intentions probably weren't in the right place. He taught me a lot of invaluable lessons, and I would not be as headstrong and in such a good place without his help and wisdom. While my dad is a cool guy, I always got along with my grandfather more and ended up hanging around with him out in the woods and stuff. Lots of hunting and shit like that. Taught me how to fend for myself, live off-grid, hunt for my own food, and survive in the deep wilderness. Lots of yapping, but I think it's important. So, my grandfather left all of his money to me, left me his house, and also left me his cabin and shit that we would stay at together out in the deep woods. The cabin was in Washington up in Forks and was on the edge of some deep woods on private-owned land. So, like I say, I was freshly 18, had more cash than I knew what to do with, and just wanted to get away from my parents. I decided that I would go and spend the summer in this cabin. I had planned on bringing some friends with me, but most of them bailed, so it was just me and my friend S. S was not the camping type, but he was bored and wanted to get drunk and high in peace all summer. We loaded up and headed out. I had packed more than enough supplies to last us. We weren't even really planning on camping or exploring. We were both content to just sit in the cabin and drink and smoke while getting warm, and playing video games. Yeah, we got electricity here. The cabin was sick, and my grandfather was decently well off. The first couple of days passed by just like this. The cabin was nice and roomy and even had 2 stories. It had a kitchen and everything, even if it was just a small one. It even had like an outdoor shed and garage type thing too. The outdoor shed was mostly full of old tools my grandfather had stashed there because he could not be bothered moving them on. Anyway, fast forward to maybe day 3 or something. I tell S I'm feeling cooped up, so I was gonna take a walk. Daylight was still just about out, so I was gonna make the most of it. He just kinda grunted and was like, sure. I took a walk a ways out. The weather was not the best and it had rained recently. It meant that all the mud in the area had turned into a kind of sludge, and it meant that you could see every animal that traipsed through very clearly. I must have been gone maybe 20 to 30 minutes maximum. As I was making my way back to the cabin, I noticed something incredibly strange. There were a set of footprints leading towards the cabin. These were not mine, and I was sure of this. The prints were facing towards the cabin right in front of me. They were also much bigger than my boot prints are. My feet are quite small, so I only wear like a size 9. These prints must have been at least 1.5 times the size of my boots. I was immediately sketched out, and that was not the only thing that I noticed that was off. Aside from the woods being stereotypically silent and there not really being any sound, I noticed that the trees surrounding the cabin were all kinda messed up. There were marks in the bark, but they weren't all the same. Random scratches here and there. Some trees only had some on the bottom, but some had scratches going all the way up to the top, like something had climbed it. I was worried that there might be a black bear or something around, so I rushed into the cabin to inform my friend. The lazy fuck was passed out on the couch with a joint still in his hand. I started shaking him awake and asked him if he had been outside. He told me no, so I mentioned the prints in the ground, and then also the marks on the trees. I told him the trees could be a bear or another animal, but that I wasn't sure about the footprints. I wondered if he had walked around at some point, as he has bigger feet than me, or if maybe someone else had come through this way. He said he hadn't, and that he had not heard or seen anyone else. There was no one else near us for miles. Fuck. Our troubles did not end there, because I ended up having to shush ass really quickly. I could hear like a light tapping or a scratching noise. We listened for a second and strained our ears. It sounded like it was coming from the fucking roof. We both listen as whatever is up there takes a few steps and then stops. We start whispering to each other, asking what the hell is going on. As soon as we start whispering, this thing starts moving again, closer to us. I think it can hear us and is using it to get closer to us. I am freaked at this point, and I am on high alert. The thing on the roof is probably nothing serious, but combined with the claw marks and footprints, I wanted to be safe. I knew that my grandfather kept an old hunting shotgun in the shed outside, so I decided to try and sneakily get it. It was a 12-gauge shotgun, a Mossberg 88 or something or other. I know how to shoot, pretty well if I do say so myself, but I'm not a gun nut. I'm not picky, and just use whatever gets the job done. I slowly open the cabin door, and the footsteps stop as I do. The rain has started back up again, so I'm silently praying it will help conceal my steps. I managed to make it over to the shed, but I knew there was no way to unlock it without making a ton of noise. I take a deep breath and start fiddling with the lock, and the second that I do, I hear rapid footsteps coming from the roof now. My heart is pounding, but I manage to get it open, and I fling myself in and shut the door behind me. I basically dive down to the ground to get this gun, and as I do, I see a hand pierce through the door to the shed. I'm in a blind panic, so the details are a little fuzzy, but I remember the hand being really furry and really sharp. I loaded the shotgun and sent one pump through the hole the thing just made. I wasn't really aiming, just hoping I could maybe scare it off. I hear a scream, but not like a scream, more like a really enraged shout. It was really low and gravelly, and it made my ears hurt, and it gave me a kind of mini headache. I am readying my shotgun again, and I see something again. Whatever this thing is, it has put its eyes up to the hole that it made. This eye is like big and bulging, and it is like really red. In a human eye where the eye should all be white, it's just like a light red kind of color, like the eye is infected or something. I don't even stop to consider. I just take another shot at this thing's eyes while it is vulnerable. I hear another scream / angry shout, and I just hear bam bam bam. It put 3 holes into the door and the rest of the shed with basically no effort at all within like a split second. Now that I knew I had heard it, I got a little brave and had my weapon at the ready, and I went to the shed door. I opened it up and I heard the thing run away to the tree line. All I caught was a blur running on all 4s, switching to 2 legs, and then ascending up the trees in the darkness. I had no words. I rushed inside the cabin to talk to Wes. He was on the floor, gripping a couch cushion, and looked to be sitting in a puddle of his own piss. He was asking what the fuck happened out there, what was that thing, etc, etc. Like I said, he wasn't used to the outdoors and so was shit scared. I did my best to try and comfort him. I told him I had shot it twice and scared it off. I said it wouldn't be coming back after that, but I knew it was a bluff. I was trying to convince myself as much as I was trying to convince S. I told him it was much too dark now and that we would be vulnerable. We would have to wait out the night, and then we would leave first thing in the morning. He nodded okay quietly and went to change and clean himself up. We spent hours in silence, me clinging to the Mossberg, S clinging to the couch cushion. We didn't have the nerve to let our guard down and drink, smoke, or play video games. It must have been the first time in years that S was not high or drunk. I think it must have been around 2 or 3 a.m. that S finally fell asleep. My eyes kept drooping, and I felt like I was getting on the edge of sleep and then jolting. I was ready to just give in, until I started hearing noises again. I didn't want to startle S, so I just listened closely. I heard a tap 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 on the roof again. Sounded quieter or lighter this time. Then I heard a more rapid tap tap tap, and then whatever this thing was jumped off the edge. I heard a twig or a branch snap when it landed. I quietly pushed the cabin door open with the shotgun still in my hand. I creeped out the front and was kind of peeking over and using the cabin and the shed for cover. Once my eyes finally adjusted to the darkness, I spotted something up in the trees. In a branch, probably about 40 feet or so away, I could see something up there and crouched. It looked almost like a human, like a man just squatting down. But it wasn't wearing any clothes. It was covered in patches of matted fur. I could see partially healed wounds from where I had struck the thing with the 12 gauge. One in its chest area, not fully healed but mostly, one eye missing. How the fuck was it still alive? And how did it heal a gunshot wound so quickly? It had long claws coming off from its hands, only 4 fingers or finger-like appendages anyway. It looked muscular, like a completely shredded bodybuilder but tenfold and with matted patches of fur. The muscles looked like they could rip a log in two. I was shaking and scared and wasn't sure what to do. I was still mostly in cover, so I didn't think it had seen me. I prepared my shotgun and started peeking out. I aimed and peeked out a little bit further to get ready to shoot. And then the instant I was about to, I see the one eye the thing still had shoot down and look directly at me. I just froze up. And that's when I saw rapid movement. In the branches next to this thing, in the blink of an eye, I saw other things just like it appear, except without the wounds. Dozens of them. I don't know exactly how many. They were all just sat crouched down on the branches, with their eyes locked on me, like some kind of fucking army. I didn't drop my shotgun. I was preparing to die, for one final stand. I took one step forward, basically accepting my fate, and this choir of deep and low growls just started up, basically warning me they would kill me. I was just standing there trembling, and I started to move my shotgun. In the instant that I did this, I heard a quick snap and a blur of movement, and before I knew it, I saw a tree branch flying my way. It sailed over my head, only just, and I could not do anything except fall to the ground and scurry backwards. I dropped my shotgun somewhere in the mud, and I could not see it in the dark. The growling did not stop, and I shuffled all the way back into the cabin and just laid down with my eyes open for the rest of the night. When S and I woke up the next day, we didn't even say a word to each other. He could tell there was something wrong with me, but I did not want to tell him. I felt like if I told him, then what happened became real. I could not just explain it away as a dream or a trick of the mind anymore. My grandfather's shotgun was gone. I searched high and low and it was nowhere to be seen. I didn't even bother locking anything up. We just got the fuck out of there. If anyone has any kind of answers, X, then it would really help me. The cabin must have been empty only maybe 6 months to a year, and I had never seen anything like those things in all of my years growing up. The way they looked, how strong they were, and the speed that they moved at just did not make sense. I haven't been to that cabin since then. I have stayed well the fuck away from any kind of woods, even though I know that my grandfather would not be pleased with me. Any kind of answers as to what I could have seen would really help me. Thank you. Hey, hope you've enjoyed the story so far. If you want to hear more, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment because it lets YouTube know you like the content and helps more people to see these videos. My next big goal for the channel is 100,000 subscribers, and as a celebration, I will be doing a Q&A video once we hit that goal. Thank you, and back to the stories. I am surprised there aren't more stories about cornfields. There was this one. Gillespie cornfield outside of Perry. Every Halloween, go on a long ride with my friends from high school to Gillespie Field. There was a path through the corn wide enough for perhaps a tractor that led to a large circle. Not quite like a crop circle, but it sure gave off that sort of vibe. I am 17 at the time this happened. It's Halloween in the year 2010. Lots of Marine friends and hunter friends this year. Friends of friends this year. It's a huge ass fucking party. We eventually had to start pulling the cars out of the circle because it was getting to be too crowded with 6 cars worth of people. It's getting to be 2 in the morning. People are starting to drift out. There's about 20 people left in all. Hey, on, come get some of this beer. At age 17, you can imagine I was pretty thrilled to be allowed in on the older kids' games and all that. There was this super hot chick, Trina, I don't remember, who was all over me. Drunk as a fish in a whiskey barrel, but all over me. Too shy to initiate anything, but I did get to see her boobs because she took her top off. It dwindled down to about 10 or so people. Me, 5 hunter friends, 3 marine friends, and 2 civilians, not including me. Let's make a fucking bonfire. 10 minutes later, there's a huge fire pit going, and we're dancing around it, pretending to be doing a ritual, laughing and having a good-ass time. No big deal, right? This kind of hush washes over everyone. We all got the same rush of sudden unease and anxiety. Everybody freeze, more or less in the positions we've been dancing in. Goofy as shit, but nobody dares to make a sound. The only sounds are the sounds of the giant fire in the pit. Standing around for almost a minute before somebody whispers, What happened to all the crickets and shit? No wind, no crickets, no birds, no nothing. So we stop dancing, thoroughly put off, and my buddy Joseph, a hunter, goes, Guys, I'm gonna go get my rifle. There is a murmur of agreement. The other hunters break off to go with Joseph and grab their shit. Mostly pistols and knives besides Joe. Marine buddies, Kate, Samuel, and Ed, sit down in what I can roughly describe as a perimeter sort of thing around me and the other no-training folks. At this point, we are too nervous and anxious to talk. We are barely breathing. There is not a noise, just the fire pit's crackling and a slight rustle in the corn, and it's starting to get a little bit disconcerting. We sort of stuck close together and kept wide, worried eyes on the stalks. Kate says, something is not right. Mutual agreement, but nobody can put a finger on it. Ed sucks in a breath and everybody jumps a bit and looks over at him. If the wind is gone, what the fuck is making the corn stalks rustle? I swear to God, I nearly pissed myself right the fuck there. We're all about 5 seconds and a sneeze away from needing a change of clothes when Joe comes back, white as a sheet, alone. Joe is pulling the bolt back on his rifle and sprinting back to the campfire circle. He tosses his pistol to Ed. Joe, what the fuck happened? You look like you saw Sam's mom. Joe sort of glares at Ed and then hisses, Don't you fucking joke right now. There's something in the corn. You what, mate? There is something in the corn. I am not fucking around. Now, see, around here, we're used to big dogs, large crows, even the occasional oversized cat. So everybody sort of gave Joe this narrow-eyed, the fuck are you saying sort of look, like he's trying to freak everybody out more. We keep trying to get him to tell us where the others are, what happened to the other 4 that he went off with. He says they stayed at the cars to protect them. There is rustling in the corn. Joe immediately wheels and takes a shot. Right next to my fucking ear, Joe, you cocksucker. Immediately, the feelings of fear and anxiety intensify. Some sort of low whimpering noise is coming out of the corn now. Joe is gibbering like a drunk, muttering incoherently. I'm about to take the rifle from him, when I notice he's got some sort of black slime smeared on his pant leg. Then I nearly shit myself again, because what crawled out of the corn was not a dog. Not in the strictest sense, I guess. It was shambling sort of awkwardly, with what looked like a broken leg, maybe a dislocated shoulder. It looked like it had, at some point in time, been some sort of hound dog, a black or dark brown bloodhound. There was chicken wire wound around its neck like a noose, and it was coated in flies. There was black sludge dripping from its jowls and oozing out of a bullet hole near its right eye, which was itself drooling that same black crap like tears. Joe lost his mind at this point. Sam and I had to wrestle the rifle away from him. No more green text, it's hard for me to keep up. This still gives me the shakes to this day. It kept shambling out of the corn towards us, wheezing and spitting that black stuff onto the ground. The flies numerous enough that I could almost hear them buzzing from across the clearing. Joe is just losing his mind, collapsed on the ground, and was trying to go fetal as me and my marine friends tried to haul him away. The dog just kept walking, and as it kept coming, it dragged something else out of the corn behind it, attached to the chicken wire wound around its neck. It took a second for me to piece it together in the light of the fire. but attached to the end of this morbid umbilical cord was a beating heart, like a beer-sized, still bleeding, leaking heart, thumping away and leaking that black sludge stuff. The flies were having a field day with it. The dog had no eyes for us. It was staring directly at the fire, like it was mesmerized or something. It dragged itself off kilter towards the fire, wheezing and spitting and sobbing, the heart beating excitedly on the chicken wire behind it. Its back legs were mangled, and it sort of dragged itself along on its front legs and one back leg. The weird thing is, as it got closer to us, I swear to God I thought I could hear some sort of words every time the dog wheezed and whimpered and cried. I did not stick around to listen. Nobody else did either. We grabbed Joe and fucking beat feet back to where the path to the cars was, making a wide berth around the dog and its cargo. Before I left, I had to watch. I'm pretty sure the others had the same feeling because they were not very far ahead of me when the show was over. I stopped and watched as it dragged itself, heaving and coughing, closer to the fire. The flies did not even veer away when it stuck its head in the fire. It burned like someone had tossed a tire in there. It stunk something fierce too. I just had to watch because the dog did not stop moving when it had been engulfed by the pit. The chicken wire kept moving, dragging the heart into the flames after the dog until they were both gone, and the only way anybody could have known that it was there was the trail of black sludge on the ground and the smell of burning rubber. We were halfway home when I finally looked over at Joe. There was something that had been bothering me since that thing had gotten close enough to us for me to really hear it. I asked Joe what it had said to him, because I was almost positive that was why he had been so freaked out. It had been next to him in the corn, and he'd heard it speaking to him. At first I thought maybe I was wrong, because he gave me this weirded out glare and he would not say anything. Then he took a deep breath, and he leaned over to me, and he whispered this sentence in my ear. "Come with me. I will bring you home." And for a second I felt very cold, because that was what I had heard too. What I think I saw that night was Beelzebub. I'm not a noob, so I know that Beelzebub is not the devil, not in the actual rhetoric. He is the Lord of the Flies. I don't know why he appeared to us that night, what he wanted or what brought him there. I don't even know if what we saw was really a demon. Maybe it was just something in the corn. There's lots of stuff in the corn that nobody really wants to talk about. At any rate, I moved out of Iowa, so I don't have to worry about the corn or what I saw. I should probably try to reconnect with my friends, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'll find out that Joe died in a fire or slit his own wrists. Sometimes I still have nightmares about it, and I think maybe Joe does too, which is why I'm afraid that I'll find he lit himself on fire. I keep a matchbook under my pillow because sometimes I kind of want to do it, just to see what it would be like. Just for background, camping and exploring were pretty much my two main pastimes a few years back. Anyone who lives in the UK can tell you that decent places to camp are pretty few and far between, unless you want to stay on some shitty campsite with families and chavs. So we used to find out of the way places to do some illegal wild camping, even if it took us a bit of hiking to get to a good spot. Woods are pretty sparse too, if any decent size anyway, and what me and my friends were looking for was some decent sized woods to get lost in and settle down for a few days where you could not hear cars or see lights from towns, etc. So this is what happened when we drove about 5 hours to get to the biggest woodland in the UK, Galloway Forest Park, about 300 square miles of forest. It was me and my friends, Ryan, Callum and Chris. Drive up there in Ryan's shitty Astra because we were planning on leaving the car somewhere and hiking to get a good spot, and Callum did not want to leave his BMW on the side of the road in Scotland for the best part of a week. We have a map of all of the little roads and shit, and have figured out that if we park up and walk into the woods for about 6 miles, we have a good spot away from everything. The nearest road is the one we'll be leaving from, and the only thing near enough to see the light of any fire is a cycle path that won't be in use at night. Park up, reverse the car into the trees a bit so it is harder to see, and grab our shit from the boot. Ryan has an old gym shear that we hang from a branch to help us locate the car when we walk back, and we tie up bits of red ribbon as we go to help us find the way back. Walk for about 6 miles and can't find a decent spot to set up. We push on for another half mile and find the perfect spot next to a river. River is being generous. It's a little creek. We think it's one of the little feeders that eventually end up in one of the locks. Nice flattish open ground leading down to the creek, trees all around us, no sign of people. In the middle of a little depression with slight hills all around us. Perfect. We set up our bivvies and unpack our stuff. We all brought knives. We have a wire saw, and I brought a hatchet too, since I am the designated fireman when we camp. Ryan lugged his bow with him, and he keeps telling us he's going to kill a deer with it. Whatever, mate. It's a 30-pound practice bow that he picked up for next to nothing from a market somewhere. Doesn't matter. Figure we'll use it for target practice just to pass the time, since he brought about 20 arrows with it. There is plenty of wood around, so I dig out a pit and get a fire going, stacking some up so we don't have to get up again, and it will be dark in about an hour. Callum starts boiling water for Irish coffee. Did not want to bring beer since the weight to drunk ratio is shite, but we all brought whiskey. Have a little wind-up radio, and we listen to some weird local radio while we sit and drink. Plan to get up early to see if the creek is any good for fishing a little bit further down, so we turn in. Wake up at about 2 a.m, hearing noises outside the tent, and can see a massive light. Figure someone got up and got the fire going out of boredom. I grab my torch and step outside to see no one around the fire, but all the wood has been dumped on the embers and the fire is raging. I'm wondering what is going on, and I hear someone crashing through the trees behind me. I shine the light over there and see nothing but some branches swaying. Freaking out slightly, I walk backwards, not taking my eyes off the tree, and shake Chris's bivvy. I ask him if he heard or saw anything, and he says no, it was probably Ryan. Just give him a slap for playing silly beggars, and go back to sleep. Throw some dirt on the fire to help it die down a bit, and crawl back into my bag. Wake up to Ryan kicking me at about 5:30. Ask him if he was up and dumped the firewood on the fire last night. No, don't be daft. Tell him we'll have to get more today, and he tells me he'll help if I make tea. We go and get more wood, dragging shitloads back to the site, and I look for my hatchet to split some of the bigger ones. It's vanished. Look around the site and I can't find it anywhere. I left it next to the fire pit the night before. Callum and Chris are coming back from checking the creek and tell me that fishing is a no-go. See something in the fire? My fucking hatchet is in the fire, handle burned away. Whoever threw the wood on the fire last night threw that on there too. Everyone is adamant that they did not do it. I try and forget it. I'm here to have fun. I go out and set some snares in the woods. Only my second time trying, but I had seen plenty of rabbits around. I get a bit creative and set some spring snares too. Takes about 90 minutes as I circle the woods around the camp. I keep feeling watched, but I shrug it off as nothing. A couple of times I hear shit in the trees but can't see anything, so I figure it's animals out for food, just like I am. I head back to the camp and the others tell me that they thought I was in the other direction, since they heard someone walking around near the edge of the trees a few minutes before. Weird, but figure it must be a deer. Ryan gets excited and grabs his bow, telling us he's going to catch us some supper. Callum goes with him. Me and Chris start boiling water and making soup, talking about the plan we want to do for the day. Talking about nonsense and having a cigarette, when we hear a scream from the woods where the other two went. We grab our knives and run in shouting after them. Find Callum down at the bottom of this dry creek bed, shouting that he's twisted his ankle and that something pushed him. Being watched feeling comes back. I shrug it off. I ask him what he means that something pushed him. He didn't see it. Ryan was running to keep the steer in sight, and he tried to follow him. When he got to the top of the embankment of the dry creek bed, he looked around and something shoved him from behind. Chris goes to find Ryan. I help Callum up and walk him back to camp and sit him down. Waiting for ages before the guys get back. They come walking out of the trees, and Ryan said he was too busy looking for the deer to see anything. Didn't even hear Callum yell. Said he missed the deer by about 4 inches. Yeah, right. We all start to settle down, and the rest of the day goes pretty smoothly. Keep hearing the odd noise and getting the feeling of being watched. Go to bed that night and fall straight to sleep. Figured to check the snares in the morning since I forgot to. About 2 a.m, I wake up to a scream. Not a human scream, like a fox and a bear combined. Deep but shrill somehow, the kind that makes your hair stand on end. There are no big animals in Scotland. What is this shit? By the time I get dressed, everyone else is up and asking what the hell that was. It came from the east, I set a few snares over there, the opposite side to where Callum was pushed. I hear some branches thrashing and another scream. Chris says something about my snare nonsense actually catching something. Says I should go check it out. I tell him to bollocks. If he wants it to be checked out, he can go do it. I am not going near that noise. It carries on for a few more minutes and then goes deathly silent. No owls, no insects, nothing. Something moving in the woods. I can see a shadow, a darker patch of blackness moving in the trees. Callum says it's a deer. I ask him why it is moving around the camp in the trees when it should be walking away from us in the fire. No answer. Stare at it for about 2 to 3 minutes while it stays completely still. Fades back into the trees and disappears. Decide to stay up in twos in case it was a wolf after our food. Heard stories of a few packs of wolves still in Scotland. Rest of the night passes pretty quietly. The next morning we all feel a bit better and me and Ryan go and check my snares. One clearly had a rabbit in it, judging from the fur, but it has been taken by something else. Check a few more and find nothing. When we get to the area the sounds were coming from, we get a little bit quieter and we both have our hands on our knives. It's a mess. There is blood all over the snare, which has been ripped away from the small tree I anchored it to. My face when steel wire is ripped. Blood all over the tree, the floor, and bits of weird, pale grey flesh. Fuck this shit. Start heading back to camp. Nervous as hell. Ryan keeps telling me he can see stuff out of the corner of his eye. I don't even look. Too busy being a pissy pants. I get back to the camp and the others are nowhere to be seen. Our gear is spread all over the campsite. Some of our clothes are in the creek. 2 of the bivvies have slashes in them. Like, one of the sides slashed from one end to the other. Full on panic mode, knife in hand. Shout for the guys. They come out after about 5 minutes. They were looking for someone. Said they heard someone shouting, what sounded like help, but couldn't make it out. They freak the fuck out too about our gear being everywhere. Decide to bail it out of there. Pack our stuff up so fast that my pack won't even fasten properly. Don't care. Start heading out. Ryan has his bow out and is scanning the trees like he thinks he's Legolas or something. Get to the first ribbon marking the way back and Ryan shoots into the trees. Says he saw something following us. Looked like a person, but weird grey and taller. Walking faster. Can't find the second ribbon. Figure we'll just head for stuff that looks familiar until we find the road and work from there. All panicking on the inside now. Chris points through the trees and we see a ribbon on a branch. Doesn't look familiar. But that's why we did it. We are not country boys after all. Follow the ribbon trail for what seems like far too long and still in the forest. I'm close to full on panic when Ryan points off in the distance and we see his old ass gym shoe tied to a branch. The elation lasts about 5 seconds before we notice how familiar the area is. Walk up to the shoe and look through the trees. We're at the campsite, can see the fire pit we didn't fill in, and the flat parts where our bivvies were. It's officially freak out time. Chris starts shouting into the trees. Ryan is almost crying. Me and Callum just staring at each other. We have to get back to the car. We know we came north from the road, so if we head south, keeping the sun on our right, we can make it back to the road and work out where the car is. Ryan is so close to losing it, asking what the hell is happening. We set off. I take Ryan's bow from him and put him in the middle. Didn't really feel like getting an arrow in the back if he twitched. I'm not a great shot if anything comes for us anyway. Walk like 3 hours. The feeling of being watched the whole way back. Keep hearing twigs snapping roughly parallel to where we are walking. See shadows between trees about 150 meters out. Starts getting dark and we are all tired, but refuse to stop. This sense of total fear just keeps building. Several times I actually jumped when a twig snapped, pure fear. Suddenly stumble on the road out of nowhere. Callum recognizes the bit of road from a fallen tree about half a mile from the car. Practically sprint there. There are 3 big scratch marks down the side of the driver's side, from front panel to rear door. Don't care. Throw our stuff inside, jump in, and drive like maniacs until we find a town with a hotel. We get 2 rooms between us, but spend the night drinking in one and wondering what the hell happened. So many questions thrown around, no answers. That was pretty much the last time we wild camped. I see the guys in the pub sometimes, but never really talk about it. Just drink and talk shit like everything is fine. Scariest shit that ever happened to me.